Hello, it's some dust or something. I'm here today on the public test branch of Path of Titans because the new update just rolled out over here, and just about every single dinosaur has some changes. In this video, I'm not really going to be getting into the stats or other game changes, but I did want to look at all of the abilities with you. Some of these I've already tested out a little bit, some of them I have not seen yet, so it's going to be a mixture of like a review and also my reaction. Going to give you my thoughts. Should be a good time, so stick around if that sounds interesting to you, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. So on the abilities side of things, the Aloe does not seem to have too much new. Again, that doesn't mean that its stats couldn't have changed or some of the things it can do haven't changed. But if I go up here to the ability slot, you still only got the bite. In senses, you do have Lone Survivor as well as All for One, and you can still run ambush, so a little bit of a different way that you can play it now. Of course, Lone Survivor gives you the 10% armor increase and increased maneuverability when not in a group. If you do want to be in a group, you can run the All for One, gain a 3% damage increase when in a group with other medium-sized carnivores, stacks up to 5 times. It seems that a lot of the medium and small dinosaurs have gotten this one to sort of encourage pack mentality or pack hunting. And then ambush, your first attack when not in combat deals increased damage. We already knew about that one. For hide, dense feathers. For legs, you've got traction, long distance runner, and leap. Tail, balanced and tail attack, and still the tyrant roar in the voice slot. So nothing too new there except for those new senses. But yeah, that is Aloe. Now, unlike my boy Aloe, Metri has had some serious changes. If you know me, you know that I love Metriacanthosaurus. It was my first dinosaur, and for the first time I can remember in its history, it does not have venom anymore. They've removed both the Viper Strikes and the Heavy Venom Bite, replacing it with a regular bite attack. If you go to Senses, you still got Twilight Menace, but now you can also run Lone Hunter for that increased attack damage when not in a group, kind of like what Picno had. On the front limb, you can run balanced or claw attack. Nothing new in there. For hide, it's still putrid scales and lightweight. For tail, same old, same old. Now the voice, get ready for this. 4 options and 2 different voice slots. You have Primal Mend, a call that increases your healing rate by 10 times for 25 seconds. It is like the Lambio solo call, but it's on Metri. The dinosaur that has always been the hit and run, drain the stamina, scary looking dude, now has a healing call on itself. You also have Intimidating Screech, decrease the nearest creature's damage by 30% for 15 seconds. Hustle, which I think is already run by like Struthy, increases the trout speed of your pack or your herd. And then the healing call, this is the Lambio call. Increases the healing rate of all party members within 30 meters for 40 seconds. Doesn't tell you exactly how much, but it works essentially like the Lambio. So you can run a double healing Metri. Very strange that they went this direction with it. I didn't see it coming. We've always had the Lambulance, and now we have the Metri Medic over here. So let me see if I can find something to jump off of. I'm gonna hurt myself. Insert Johnny Cash slash 9 Inch Nails reference. So I did some damage. Now I'm going to use the call. Uses a lot of stamina by the look of it. And look at that. My health is just skyrocketing. So you've got one for yourself and you've got one for your group. It does have a 10-minute cooldown. That is a huge cooldown, and it does share the cooldown with the other calls. Now, of course, the other interesting thing here is the Intimidating Screech call here. So let's try that one out. So this is the one that decreases the damage output of nearby creatures. It only has a 5-minute cooldown. So I hit that, and it's only 15 seconds, but that's going to decrease the damage of whatever's attacking you. So, huge changes to the Metri. If I'm not mistaken, they've also made it bigger. The Metri is like the size of an Aloe now. So, really interesting that they went this way. They made a carnivorous Lambio. I just didn't expect it to be the Metri. So, really interesting there. Now let's check out the Picno. The Picno has had a lot of stuff changed in regards to knockback. As you can see here, we have a new option on the head. We've always had the bite in the headbutt, but now you have Horn Swipe, causes heavy knockback. So let's grab that. We're going to throw that on the second slot here. I'm going to replace my my bite with it. And senses, you've still got the lone hunter. Same old legs, still the same options on legs. I think anyway, strong legs, long distance runner, and gripping claws. On the back limb, you still have your charge. Tail, you do have a new option on tail. You have the balance to the tail attack, but now you have armored tail. This is something you're going to see on a lot of dinos. Damage and status effects inflicted onto your tail is dramatically reduced. So for dinosaurs that you're going to be running, so like if you're running away from something and something's going to be biting at your tail, the damage and status, say bleed or venom, is going to be dramatically reduced, which is pretty cool for something like a Picno. Because most of the time if something's chasing you, it's only going to be able to hit your tail. And for voice, you now have Bulldozer. Boosts knockback by 25% for 30 seconds for you and all nearby group members, stacks up to 3 times. So if you have 3 Picnos in a group and you all do your Bulldozer within 30 seconds, you have a 75% increase to your knockback, as well as that new head slot attack that causes more knockback. So actually, let me lay back down. I want to equip that call and kind of show you what that's like. I don't have anything here to test it with. I will say I was using it earlier, and the knockback is pretty insane. So this is the new head attack for the Picno. You hit something with that, they're going to go flying. I was launching things like Aloes a pretty decent distance. And then you have this new call. And for 30 seconds, whatever I hit with that, it's going to go 25% further, unless I'm in a group. Remember, it stacks 3 times, so a potential 75% difference. Do not be surprised if you start seeing groups of 3 Picnos all running that and just launching things off of the nearest cliff. It's insane. The cooldown for the head attack isn't even that bad. You can alternate between the head attack and the charge. You use the head attack to launch something away from you, and by the time it catches back up, you know, your cooldown on your charge is mostly going to be gone, and you can just cycle those. So really cool stuff with the Picno there as well. Next, let's take a look at Suko here. I'm sorry if these are kind of in a random order. The public test server is giving me a bit of a hard time, but on the head over here, you do have the bite. Same as always, in senses, you can now run Lone Hunter, as well as the Nicotinating Membrane and Drenched Blows from before. Lone Hunter, of course, 10% increased attack damage when not in a group. Same thing Picno's been running for a while now. On the front limb, you do have a new thing in the form of Claw Barrage, a quick attack that increases in power with each hit. I'll show you that in just a second. It's pretty interesting. On the hide, same old, same old. On the legs, Suko now gets a Stomp. If you don't want to run the Web Feet, you can run the Stomp. It's an AoE attack, deals high damage. I got one hit by it on a Latin a little bit ago, so that was fun. And on the tail, it's still the same old, same old. So let's get up. Let's take a look at the Claw attack and the Stomp here, because these are pretty cool. So this Claw attack, it does not take stamina, and the more times you hit something with it, the more damage you're going to do. I'm still unclear on exactly how much damage increases over how many hits, but as long as you keep using this, it's going to gradually do more and more damage. Could be cool when paired with the Drenched Blows perk from earlier. And now for that Stomp I was talking about. I love the animation on this. This is so funny. It's very, you know, Godzilla-esque. Check this out. It's a little goofy, I'm not gonna lie. It looks a little premeditated, but you know what? It does deal pretty good AoE damage. I'm not sure if I would take it over the Web Feet for something like a Suko, but it is great at dealing with those mid-tiers, so there's that for you. Now for the Dynon. The Dynon now has a new head attack, Raptor Strikes, a quick attack that increases in power with each hit. I believe Latin also has this, so it's kind of like that Suko claw attack I was showing you. On senses here, nothing. Lightweight as well as dense feathers. On the hide, on the legs, you don't have anything. The tail fan, and rudder. And for the voice, you still have bark and alert call. So let's take a look at the animation for the Raptor Bites attack. So as I said, the more times you hit something with this, it's got like a 1-second cooldown. The more times you hit something with it, the more damage it's going to do, and that is pretty cool. Now let's talk about the Aloe here. The Aloe, as you can see by this icon, finally has a specific attack that's for it, and that is the Hatchet Bite, a bite attack that causes bleed. I don't think it really has anything else new. See, you still got the lightweight scales, tough scoots, and resilient scales. You still got traction, strong legs, long distance runner. Same on the tail, no voice slot. But this is the new Hatchet Bite. It kind of has the animation of the Dasp heavy bite, and it does cause bleed. Keep in mind though, it also does drain your stamina just a little bit. So you got to keep that in mind. The stamina drain isn't that bad. It is important to note that if you're going to run this and the claw attack, you are going to have both attacks that drain your stamina, which means that the Aloe is now pretty stamina heavy when it comes to combat. But that's pretty cool. From what I can tell, it deals a pretty respectable amount of bleed. Nice to see. Now this is one of the more exciting ones in my opinion. This is the Serato, and the Serato has gotten a lot of love as usual. You can tell the devs really love this dinosaur. So you do have 2 head slots, the bite, the charged bite, and now Thrash, a powerful bite attack that also damages you for 25% of the damage inflicted. And that may sound like a lot, but remember, it's not your health bar, it's the damage inflicted. And while it does deal a lot, I've noticed that when using it, it's not that big of a drain on your health. Now in senses, you do have all for one. Like I was showing earlier, get a 3% damage increase when in a group with other medium-sized carnivores. Hide, lightweight, tough scoots, and resilient. Back limb. Now this is where it's cool. It does have 2 options for your back limb now. It has shove, which is a knockback. Pretty decent knockback too, actually, as well as a kick. It's essentially the Pachy kick. I'll show you both of them. We'll start with the shove. And then on the tail, you can now run armored tail. Damage and status effects inflicted on your tail is dramatically reduced. Quite a few dinosaurs have gotten this. Just means if something's biting your butt while you're running away, it's not going to do that much. So let's throw a shove on here, and I'll show you the animations for that. So first of all, here's your Thrash. Does not use stamina and has no cooldown. Just remember, it will be doing reflective damage to you. So like if I run over and I hit this dude, you see it damaged me as well. Pretty decent damage on that. And then the shove here does light damage, but does have pretty good knockback. Now I'm gonna switch to my kick. I wonder if I can do that without laying down. That would be very convenient. No, must be sleeping. Okay, let me do that real quick. Go over to the back limb, and like I said, this is essentially the Pachy kick. It's not as fast as the Pachy, but it does still deal pretty respectful damage. So here you go, get a running start, and it's the Pachy kick. So you have a very high capacity for dealing damage now. I'll say that much. The Serato is looking very interesting right now. The Conch really hasn't had that much of a change as far as abilities go, but let's look at it anyway here. So the head, you still just have the bite. For senses, you can now run the all for one that we went over earlier. On the front limb, you got the claw attack, the balanced, and web claws, which increases swim speed, swim turning radius, and oxygen. For hide, scabbing blood, lightweight, and streamlined. Back limb, you still got the ripping kick or dive, and then tail, paddle tail, or tail attack. Like I said, nothing too new there except for the all for one. Next up, we have the Dasp, so let's take a look here. The Dasp has a few new tools that are pretty cool. As you can see, 2 head slots, you got the regular bite, the bone snap, and the heavy bite as usual, but now you have piercing bite, which deals a low amount of damage but ignores armor and the weight of the target, meaning if you attack something that's a lot bigger than you, it's still going to do the same amount of damage as if you were attacking something your own size. And in senses, you now have Carnage, increases attack by 20% when within 75 meters of a corpse. Now 75 meters is a pretty big range actually. So that could be really nice. So we're going to throw that on. For hide, you still got tough scoots and resilient scales, and legs, traction, strong legs, long distance runner. For tail, balanced tail attack, and for voice, you still have the tyrant roar. Now, I do want to show this bite off. This is really interesting because, like I said, you can punch up. You can bite things that are a lot bigger than you, and it's not going to reduce the damage of this attack. Now, keep in mind, it is a light damage attack. It's not going to do a lot, and the animation's kind of long. It's got a 1 second cooldown, which really isn't that bad. But no matter what you hit, it could be an Ano using Hunker, and it's going to do the same amount of damage because it bypasses armor. So that is really interesting. And of course, as I already mentioned, you get that new Carnage sense. So really cool there with the Dasp. Now keep in mind, I don't play Kaiwekia too much, so there may not be much in the way of changes here. I really wouldn't know. Just showing you, you got the bite on the head. On senses, you now have Lone Survivor. On hide, you can run either streamlined or resilient scales. Legs, you have a few options. Strong Flippers, increases stamina regeneration by 30% when in the water. Skydiver, take 40% reduced fall damage. Or Beachcomber, improved land speed, time allowed on land, and stamina regen while on land. On the back limb, you can run lunge, lunge forward when in water, or barrel roll. Kind of hard for me to say. Quickly dart forward in a roll, damaging things in your path. So that's everything for the Kaiwekia. The Latin, like the Dynon, now has raptor strikes. So this is, again, a quick attack that increases in power with each hit. Pretty cool. In senses here, you still have Moonlight Hunter. In hide, you have Night Stalker. Nothing in legs, tail fan and tail. And voice, you have the hiss, the call of the night terrors, and the bark. The big change here being the raptor strikes that I showed off earlier. Alright, next up, let's look at the Megalania. Now that Metri doesn't have Venom, the Meg is the only thing in the game that does, if memory serves, so you've still got the Viper Strikes and the Venom Bite. In senses here, you've got some new stuff. So you've got the All-for-One, as well as the Nicotinating Membrane, and I think it had Twilight Menace, maybe not, but I know the All-for-One for sure, the new one. On Hide, you have Toxic Immunity, become immune to Venom and Poison, as well as Streamlined. On the legs here, you still got Dive. On the back limb, Webbed Feet and Leap. And for the voice, you now have Toxic Scream. Increases outgoing venom damage by 50% for 10 seconds. Now 10 seconds isn't a lot. I think that's only 2 of your heavy bites, although you can get a lot of venom strikes in. 50% is pretty good. I kind of want to see what the cooldown is on that. Right, I gotta be sleeping. 1 second here. Let me get this all worked out. So I'm gonna put the main, and then we're gonna grab Viper Strikes. We're gonna put those in our 2 slot. Give me the Toxic Scream. Interested to see what that sounds like. I've never heard a lizard scream before. Okay. So let's check out this new Toxic Scream. It's like your loud call. And for 10 seconds, you're going to be dealing 50% more venom. And remember, you are the only thing that deals venom now. You can only get 1 heavy venom strike in that time, although 50% more on that is still going to be really good. Plus you can get quite a few little Viper strikes in, layer it on pretty quick. And yeah, that is it for the Megalania. Now let's take a good look at our buddy the Sarcosuchus. Let's see, on the head, still run Bite, Crushing Bite, and Asphyxiating Snap. Drains oxygen from the target and deals low damage. That's interesting. So if you catch something swimming where maybe it's not supposed to, or maybe it runs out of stamina and it's down low, you can speed up the process of drowning it with Asphyxiating Snap. Say that 5 times fast. Still really interesting. Let's see on senses. Drenched Blows. Oh, so it gets the Suko thing now. Increased damage to wet targets, as well as Ambush. You can see the Ambush has a new icon there, and Nicotinating Membrane. On Hide, Streamlined and Resilient Scales, and on the tail, of course, you've got Lunge, you've got Gator Dash, and now Armored Tail. Damage and status effects inflicted on your tail is dramatically reduced. So pretty interesting. The biggest thing I think obviously being that Asphyxiating Snap on the Sarco. Seems kind of situational, but still an interesting little choice you can run there with the Sarcosuchus. Now let's look at Spinosaurus. Let's see what they got for him. Still just the Bite on the head. For senses, you can now run Lone Survivor and Drenched Blows. So the same thing as the Sarco and the Suko. You can now run Drenched Blows or Lone Survivor if you want that 10% armor increase, as well as the increased maneuverability when not in a group. 2 slots on the front limb. Webbed Claws and Claw Attack. So Webbed Claws, of course, helps your mobility in the water, and the Claw Attack deals high damage. On the hide, you can run Tough Scoots or Streamlined. On the legs here, Traction and Stomp. So we're definitely going to check out the animation on that. I imagine that's going to do a heck of a lot of damage with the Spinosaurus's combat weight. Now, I was saying I maybe wouldn't run that on the Suko, but on the Spino I can see that being very reasonable. It's Paddle Tail and Tail Attack on the tail slot. Let's check out the animation on the Stomp here. I imagine it's going to be the same as the Suko. So we're going to go Godzilla mode. Let's check it out. So you can see that one coming. It's a really slow build up. I will say by the time it's launched, it's already ready to go again, so you can just chain these if you really wanted to. Remember, it is an AoE, makes it a little easier to hit things, but those are the big changes with the Spinosaurus. Now let's take a look at the Lacidromus here. Let's see what they got for this guy. Still just got the Bite on the head. Let's see what we got for senses here. You got Lone Hunter, Land Runner, move 20% faster when on the ground, and Flock Migration. Decreases stamina use when flying by 10% for each flyer nearby in your group. Stacks up to 4 times, so potentially a 40% decrease in stamina use while flying. That could be kind of cool. On the front limb, you do have Grip and Claws for a faster turning radius when on the ground. You have Streamlined for Hide, and on the legs you got Web Feet, Skydiver, and Long Distance Runner. And for the voice, you got nothing there yet, so pretty interesting that you can get a flock of these guys and stay up in the air longer. Not too much else to talk about really with the Lacidromus. And last but certainly not least, for the carnivores, we have the Tyrannosaurus. Let's see what we've got here. So for the head, you got 2 slots and 4 options: Bite, Bone Snap, Crushing Bite, and Face Tank. Now this is really interesting. Take 30% reduced damage from hits to your head, neck, and chest, meaning that face tanking with the Rex is now completely viable in the same way you would play something like an EO, I guess. Really interesting there. Now that's just a passive, I think, right? That's not like an active thing you have to be using. At least I hope not. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so that's a passive. You equip that, and you're going to be taking reduced damage to your head and basically the front of your body. And senses, you now have Lone Hunter, always nice. Hide, you have Resilient Scales and Lightweight. For legs, Strong Legs, and Stomp. There's that Stomp again. I imagine it's going to be the same cooldown and animation as the others, but we'll take a look at it. Balanced and Tail Attack for the tail, and on the voice, Deep Rumble and Tyrant Roar, nothing new there. So let's equip the Stomp and take a look at it. Godzilla mode, let's go! Yeah, that's the same, but holy cow, that's going to do a lot of damage to anything small around you. Pretty cool. Now let's check out the Herbies, starting of course with Albertaceratops. Let's see, 1 slot on the head, you got the Headbutt and the Head Slam, same old same old. For senses, you still only have Stampede. For the front limb, Stomp and Balanced. On the hide, Tough Scoots and Resilient Scales. For the legs, Strong Legs and Charge. For the back limb, Back Kick. And for the voice, you got Enrage. Increases your damage by 15% for 30 seconds. Now that, I believe, is new. So let's take a look at what that looks like here. Everything else kind of looks the same. Let's go to abilities. Get that Enrage. Put that to our 2 slot. And let's see what that looks like. So for 30 seconds, I'm going to be doing more damage. How much was it? 30 seconds, you're doing 15% more damage. Pretty nice. Not bad at all. Alright, now it's a Margo. A Margo looks a little bigger to me. I'm not sure if that's true or not, it just kind of looks like it. Let's see what we got as far as abilities go. In the head slot, you still only have the Headbutt. In the senses, Sturdy and Lone Survivor, so same old, same old. In the front limb, you still got your Stomp. On hide, Resilient Scales. On legs, you got nothing, and on tail, still just the tail attack. So as far as abilities go, I don't really see anything new. Although I gotta say, a Margo looks considerably bigger to me. I guess we'll have to wait to see, but that's my observation. Alright, the Anodonso. Let's start with senses here, where you do have Lone Survivor. On the front limb, Strong Legs and Traction. On the hide here, Tough Scoots and Resilient Scales. For the legs, Fortify and Hunker Down. Back limb, Paddle and Burly, increase stamina regen by 20% and bone break healing by 20%. And for the tail, you got Bone Snap, Tail Attack, and Tail Slam. So that's everything for the Anodonso. Now for my old friend the Barswaldia. Let's see what we got going on here. On the head, you still got your Headbutt. Senses, Lone Survivor. Front limb, you got nothing there. For the hide, you do have Resilient Scales. Nothing in the legs. Back limb, you got Long Distance Runner. For your tail, same old, same old. And you do have Rallying Call in the voice slot, a call that increases the defense of all party members for within 30 meters for 1 minute. So, looks mostly the same to me. Barswaldia, still really solid. Let's see what the Kangaroo's up to. We're going to go into abilities here. Got the Bite on the head, Senses, Lone Survivor. Nothing in front limb. For hide, you do have Tough Scoots, Resilient Scales, and Lightweight. For legs, Hop Away, classic. Nothing on the back limb yet, and for voice, you got the Alert Call. Again, nothing too much has changed for the Campto as far as abilities go. Now let's check in on our old friend the duck here. Legendary duck. On the head, you got your bite. For senses, nicotinating membrane, lone survivor, and drench blows. So just like the other subaquatics, you're getting drench blows, and most of the dinosaurs seem to be getting lone survivor or lone hunter. 2 slots for the front limb, but you've only got the claw attack. On the hide, you now have thick down, increases health regeneration rate by 20%. Very interesting. On the legs here, webbed feet and burly. And on the tail, paddle tail, tail attack. And you do have 2 things on the voice now. That's interesting. You got hiss and you got goose honk. Increases knockback for your attacks for 30 seconds. Knockback? What? And of course, hiss reduces incoming damage by 65%. That's pretty substantial for 20 seconds. But the knockback is interesting. I kind of want to see what that sounds like. What even does knockback? Does the front limb? I don't know. I don't really know about that, but I want to hear the goose honk for sure. Hey, that doesn't sound like a honk. Really strange, really strange. Now let's see what the Eotrike's up to. Go to abilities here. Of course, you have 2 head slots, the headbutt and the sharpened horns. On the senses, stampede and lone survivor. On the front limb, stomp and balanced. Hide, you have resilient scales, and legs, strong legs, and charge. So that's everything for the Triceratops. Piggy has lone survivor on the senses. On the front limb, you have stab. I don't know if it was always called stab. But that's pretty funny. On the hide, tough scoots and lightweight scales. For the legs, web feet and traction. Back limb, charge and back kick. And for the tail, paddle tail and tail attack. So not much has changed except for the lone survivor buff, which again is nice on any dino. Now for one of my favorite dinosaurs, the Kentro. This thing has been an absolute beast lately, so let's see if any changes were made. Still got the lone survivor. On the front limb, you still got traction. For the hide, lightweight, and tough scoots. On the back limb, you now have shoulder check, as well as long distance runner. You can only pick one. We're definitely going to check out that shoulder check. And then for the tail, you still got tail swing, tail attack, balanced, and death rattle. So, let's definitely check out that shoulder check real quick. I'm curious about that. First of all, it says lunge forward, knocking back enemies. So it sounds like the Serato thing. I'm curious if it's going to inflict bleed. Oh, that's cool. He really does lean into it. The fact that there's a giant spike there makes me think that it's going to do knockback as well as some bleed. That's an interesting way to get something off of you. Say you're backed into a corner, you knock him away, you get moving, you hit him with that tail. It's all good. So really interesting new ability for the Kentro there. I've also heard some promising things about the new Lambio. So let's check this out. Senses, lone survivor, as I always say, very nice. On the front limb, you got balanced or the kick. For hide, you got tough scoots and resilient scales. For legs, strong legs and long distance runner. For the back limb, webbed feet, interesting. For the tail, paddle tail, tail attack, or that armored tail. Honestly, with Lambio though, I think you're going to want to go with the tail attack. And then for voice, just like with the Metri, you got Primal Mend, Hustle, and Healing Call. So we're going to go ahead and grab the Primal Mend and the Healing Call. I'm not really too interested in the Hustle at the moment. And so the Primal Rend works for yourself, or the Primal Mend. It works for yourself, which is great, because one of my big issues with the Lambio lately has been that it can't heal itself, which makes it very subpar as a solo dino. Not bad, but not nearly as good as it could be. But now, so it looks like you can't use the regular healing call if you're not in a group. So that's the way it's always been. But now you do have the Primal Mend. So let me find something I can yeet myself off of, or better yet, I'm going to rack up some damage this way. Can I use this while I'm bleeding? Yes, I just don't think it actually heals you. So it doesn't accelerate your bleed heal or anything, but it does multiply your healing by 10. So that's really nice. Good to have. Awesome to have that back on the Lambio. Once this hits the public game, I'm definitely going to play mine some more again, because I love the Lambio. I just haven't used it since it hasn't been able to heal itself. But yeah, so you got the solo heal and you got the group heal. So will the Pachy continue being a menace? Will it be more or less terrible than it already is? Let's take a look. So you still got the headbutt on the head for senses, lone survivor. With the hide, lightweight, and tough scoots. On the legs, you still got the kick and the charge. On the back limb, long distance runner and leap. And then for tail, tail attack, and balance. That's everything on the Pachy. The Struthy doesn't seem to have gotten much love. The kick still does just comical, comedic amount of stamina drain for your Struthy. If we go into the abilities, you do have Lone Survivor. On the hide, you have lightweight and dense feathers. I wonder... No, it's still the same for the metabolism. On legs, traction, strong legs, and long distance runner. On the back limb, you still only have the kick. And for voice, hustle. So that's everything for the Struthy. Alright, it's been a nightmare trying to get back in and to grow this guy. But let's see what's new with the Stego. And sorry if it seems like I'm rushing through these. I've been kicked a lot, or the servers are crashing, or I don't know what's going on, but I always have a very limited amount of time to do these. So in senses, the Stego does have Lone Survivor, as do many other things. For hide, you still got solar panel. Looks like they got a new icon for it. Looks really cool. Resilient scales and tough scoots. On the legs, traction and pivot. On the back limb, long distance runner. For the tail, tail attack and tail swing. And nothing in the voice yet. That does it for the Stegosaurus. Alright, last and hopefully not least, we have the Styracosaurus here. Let's see. The Styraco's gotten a lot of love recently, so I'm curious to see if they do anything else. Of course, you got the headbutt and the block. Under senses, you still only have Stampede. On the front limb, balanced. On hide, resilient scales and tough scoots. And on the legs, strong legs, charge. Let's see if we have a voice. No voice. So, not too much has changed with the Styraco. Of course, we're still going to have to see if anything changed with its stats or not. And there you have it. There are all the ability changes for the update to the PTB for Path of Titans. A lot of cool stuff going on. I like seeing the Lone Survivor and Lone Hunter being more widespread. I like seeing Drenched Blows. The new tail armor thing I could see being situationally very interesting. The dinos I'm most excited about are definitely the Metri, the Picno, the Serato, and even the Rex, honestly. Maybe even the Suko too with those quick claws. A lot of cool stuff to look forward to here. I'm really interested to see if stats are going to be shifted around. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope this video was informative for you. It's been an absolute nightmare trying to get in and do this. I don't know how many times I've had to switch servers, close out, and come back in. You know, just to just to show the ability differences. I don't know if they're just super swamped right now. I really wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, that about does it. Thank you all so much for watching again. I hope it was informative and entertaining for you. And yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.